Everyone's mic? I call this meeting of the Lakota Board of Education on Monday, April 17th, 2023 to order. Mr. Zink, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. D.
Yeah.
Ms. Bodie.
Present.
Ms. Casper.
Here.
Ms. Schaefer.
Here.
Ms. O'Connor.
Present.
Man.
We'll move to number 2, the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. D. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Schaefer. Call the roll.
Discussion.
Mrs. Bodie, you're recognized.
Can we please remove 6B, 7B, and 7E?
Six B, the approval of the monthly financial reports. You would like it voted on separately. Is that what you mean by remove?
Yes. And then 7B and 7E.
Very well. Any further discussion?
Oh,
Here,
never mind, go ahead.
hearing none. Mr. Zink.
Mr. D.
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer.
Yes.
Ms. Bodie.
No.
Ms. Casper.
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor.
Yes. Mrs. Schaefer?
Yeah, it wasn't handed out, given to us in a timely manner. It was posted on Friday. So like I said in the last meeting, going forward, I will not be voting to approve the agenda unless it comes out on a Monday or a Tuesday, like the best practices most school boards use.
We are on opening items, Pledge of Allegiance. Mrs. Schaefer, could you please lead us? I believe that was water arriving. Mrs. Schaefer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Zink or Mr. Vogelman, could one of you gather water? Thank you. Move to board president comments. B, under 3. I wanted to tell our staff and our superintendent what a terrific job they've done on Light Up Lakota. That was a wonderful event. We had all of our, thank you very much. Thank you. We had all of our schools participating, and they presented projects, they presented classes that they're participating in. There were oral presentations on stage, there was artwork. It was pretty amazing to watch, and I was really impressed by what our kids are doing, and each one of those presentations was in support of the strategic plan for the district and supported those 4 pillars. So great real-life examples of how the strategic plan is being played out in our schools every day. So, Mr. Vogelman, to you and to your staff, thank you very much for that. We really enjoyed it. I also want to ask, today was our deadline board for getting in our community citizens advisory team recommendation. Has everybody gotten that in to Mr. Vogelman?
I have.
I'm sorry, curriculum advisory team, not citizens. Mrs. Casper has?
Yes.
Mr. D?
I have.
Mrs. Bodie?
I will by the end of the evening.
I'm sorry.
I will by the end of the evening.
Very well, thank you. All right, we'll look forward to that. Thank you, Mr. Vogelman, for taking care of that. Superintendent comments, C?
Yeah, I have to give kudos to the media and communications team. Lauren Betcher, Betsy, Cindy Zanies are the ones who did the heavy lift with the Light Up Lakota. So they're the ones that need recognition. And kind of in keeping with some past practices at our last listening session, there was a question about the capacity at Cherokee. I asked Mr. Broussard to kind of give me an update on that. Cherokee has 33 classrooms. Currently, we have 31 sections there, averaging 26 in a class. So that's where we get our 804 students there. So we're not over capacity at this time. So by fire code, I mean, you could go up to 30 in a classroom if you need to. So our capacity would be over 900. Mr. Broussard states trying to bring on 4 portables online here in the next week or 2. That just gives you more flexibility and space, so you could have a separate room for reading for some of your support services. It's not necessary, but it's nice to have those places that are available, so that's the purpose of those portables. And there's no plan to do anything differently with Cherokee. We have not heard anything from OFCC. If we're at that 66% threshold, that would only receive funds to demolish it rather than to improve it and try and keep it up to date as the master's facilities plan would progress. Outside of that, those are my comments this morning, tonight.
Any questions for Mr. Vogelman regarding Cherokee's capacity and if we're at capacity or not?
You've still focused also, we've been able to meet the targets that we have set forth in policy and guidelines regarding class sizes?
Correct.
For next year.
So of our 31 sections, the average is right at 26. And so for grades 3 to 4, we want to be from 24 to 27, and from grades 5 and 6, we want to be 25 to 28. So as we are within those ranges at that, and as a whole, we're well within the range.
All
And
right.
we're anticipating next year to be similar setup for Cherokee, 31 sections again, based on staying within our range. And I think based on our incoming 3rd graders, exiting 6th graders, I think we go up by 4 students. So we're at 804, projected to be 808, similar 31 sections.
Very well. Any further questions on that? Hearing none. Mr. Zink, Treasurer's Report.
Later in the meeting, I'll do a presentation and go over the first draft of our 5-year forecast, so I will save all further comments until then.
Thank you. We'll move to board updates. Number 4, Board Policy Committee. Mr. Vogelman.
That will be on May 5th. I hope to have packets sitting at your spots on the May 1st board meeting, 2 weeks from today, so you have plenty of time to review. It's a big one. There's 30 policies that are being renewed. But the good thing, as I mentioned before, it's one of those where it's multiple layers. So like one is an update dealing with tobacco. And so that deals with students, with support staff, with professional staff, with administration, and with visitors. So it's one update, but it hits 5 policies. That's why there's so many.
Any questions? Move to Board Community Engagement. Mrs. Casper.
The only thing I really have is that a reminder again that the Barbasou Volunteer of the Year ceremony is April 26th at Lakota West. It starts at 9 o'clock. They'll have coffee and pastries and milling about outside the theater at Lakota West, and then at 9:30 the ceremony starts. And we always love this event. We're looking forward to honoring 23 or 24, 25 volunteers from one from each building, and then a district winner. So if you can come, it's a great time to shine the light on all the things that our volunteers do.
And all the things that we couldn't do without them.
Exactly.
I also want to note that the videos for that, board video for that event are happening this week, so just a reminder to check your calendars. And if you have not scheduled that, to please talk to Mrs. Betcher about it. There is also going to be, and Lakota is partnering with C3 for this, there's a handout out back if anyone is interested. It is a cyber safety webinar for parents, grandparents, anyone that works with students. And it's a 3-week webinar workshop, 1 hour and 15 minutes each week. And it is going to be a nationally known expert. Her name is Liz Repking. She'll be talking about cyberbullying, spotting online predators, and the consequences to our students of permanent digital footprints on social media, which is a great conversation to have with our kids, that what goes up is there forever, and that's a conversation we should all be having. So that's available to anyone. It's free of charge, but you do need to register in order to receive the link to do it. April 20th, April 27th, and May 5th. And we hope that we'll have a great turnout for that as a resource to our parents. Mrs. Schaefer, Butler Tech.
We have not had a Butler Tech meeting since our last Lakota meeting. That will be tomorrow night. However, I just wanted to send a reminder or state a reminder to the board that May 5th is the all boards meeting. Tomorrow is the last day to RSVP if you're going to be able to attend that. There will be student showcases that afternoon and evening. And then also I sent information to the board on the full throttle
fundraiser that is intended to pay for the tools for schools for kids who need assistance with that. And that's at the Lawrenceburg Speedway on Saturday night. So as Marnie Durham likes to say, the assistant superintendent will be there eating dirt. So I look forward to eating dirt with everyone and to feature the car that the students built to participate in that race. So that was postponed 2 weeks from its original date.
Can I ask?
Sure.
I don't know if I misheard you, but you said the all boards meeting was May 5th. That's a Friday.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought I said May 3rd.
Okay.
I must have misspoken.
Anything else?
May 3rd or May 5th?
May 3rd.
Sorry. Didn't read my own writing properly, apparently.
I looked at my calendar, I'm like, that's a Friday.
Happens to the best of us.
I got my date wrong.
All right, anything else?
No.
Legislative, Mr. Vogelman, Mr. Zink?
The only thing I have is lawmakers return today from a 2-week recess. So they're expecting to start working on House Bill 33, and then also the Senate also starting on their budget hearings as well. So it's been quiet since our last board meeting.
And House Bill 33 is the biennium budget.
Yes, correct.
Correct.
Mr. Zink, anything?
Just to keep an eye on House Bill 33 as we have more information, and also House Bill 1, which is the potential change in property taxes that could affect our state funding as well. So we'll keep an eye on those as more information comes.
All right, thank you. Finance, Mrs. Bodie, Mrs. Schaefer?
We had an excellent meeting with Adam and the team to go over the 5-year forecast, which we'll be reviewing in detail later. So we were able to ask a lot of questions on that and review some of the good work that's already happened between the entire executive team and Adam. So with that committee meeting, I just really appreciate Adam and his thoroughness with the 5-year forecast. I mean, he just shows that, you know, he's prepared for flexibility and whether our funds increase or decrease, you know, he's prepared and he thinks it through thoroughly, and I really appreciate that. I also understand that with the increase of our property valuation by 24%, which happens approximately 24%, which happens every 3 to 6 years, there's some type of change. And with going forward with this valuation increase of 24%, that's going to affect our community a lot more. It's beneficial to the schools because we ultimately get more money, but it's going to hurt the community. And this is, again, another reason why I feel that the facilities plan that we are discussing, we are not ready to go to the community to ask for a levy right now because they are going to start paying more money in taxes. And I think we really need to look at our buildings currently and what the issues are. And if we are holding off on some of those, I think we need to go ahead and start working on some of the buildings that need improvement if we aren't already. I don't think that we can go to the community right now and ask for more money with everything that's happening in the economy and with now our valuation increase. So just to clarify, and I'm sure Adam can get into that in the presentation, that because of House Bill 920, levies are passed for a fixed dollar amount. So just to clarify that even though valuations went up 24%, that does not mean that our revenue will increase by 24%.
Well, and right now we still only have speculation on what we have every 3 years we have a reappraisal or we have a tax update. So in tax year 23 to collect in calendar year 24, that's when we will have a update for our local taxes.
Right.
So-
And then we won't get more revenue.
But I just want to make sure that it's clarified that that does not mean people's tax bill and our revenue goes
Will go
up
up.
24%.
That's correct.
Because
with
levies
House Bill
are passed for
920.
a
certain
fixed
amount of money.
collection amount, not a fixed millage.
Yeah, taxes
So-
are paid at an effective rate.
I have a
Anything, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I have a question. Adam, you please put on, give us more highlight on this. I think on our projection, did we say it's on the 5th year of the facility plan that has possibility of levy?
What's that?
I mean, a facility plan. I thought it's not going to be immediate.
On the facilities plan?
I don't know that we have any real timing yet, since we just got
Right.
past the grade band configurations, and then at the public notice should be going out soon for the change of committee meetings from the 12th to the 5th. At that facilities meeting, I think we're going to have some more information to go over.
Okay. Is it possible for us to know how quickly the levy will come in?
I'm not sure yet. We'll have to check into that.
Yeah, sure. We need that so that we can know how to prepare for it. Yeah. Gotcha.
All right, anything else on Finance Committee? Mr. Vogelman, F, Diversity Committee?
Next meeting will be May 5th.
Thank you. Mr. Vogelman, Safety Committee?
Same thing, May 5th.
And Mr. Adi, would you like to speak about the Business Advisory Committee meeting and when that will be?
The proposal is on, and I think Mr. Vogelman have some updates. I know some letters are ready.
Friday,
to
May
go.
19th.
So letters have started going out, correct?
Excuse me?
Letters are already going out to the members of the committee.
Letters are
Yes.
going out?
Yes, we've received just about all of them back with a confirmation that they will be attending. So we have 8 community members from the Westchester Liberty area.
Okay.
Board Professional Development? Does anyone have anything upcoming? Mrs. Bodie, do you?
You spoke about it last time, and yes, we do. I believe Isaac is going to.
I'm going to.
And what's the
Isaac, do you
date?
have anything to say?
What is the date
um,
on that event?
April 21st to 22nd.
Okay.
April what, 21st to 22nd?
Yes. It ends on 22nd night.
All right, any other board professional development? Hearing none, we'll move to 5, administrative report. Mr. Zink, the 5-year forecast review.
Okay, we can get the presentation up. Perfect. So in front of everybody, you have a copy of the May 23 draft that we've put together, as well as the November submitted. It's always good to look at what we had in November to come up with where we're at today. So this is essentially just a draft review where we will work toward planning if there's any additional items. So trying to get synced up. Okay. So essentially, what is the 5-year forecast? Just to touch back on this. This is a snapshot financial report. This includes 3 years of actual data, as well as the current year and 4 additional years that we're forecasting revenues and expenditures to come up with cash balances. This is on the general fund, as well as any of the debts that are backed by the general fund, not bond levies. We approved this in both November and again in May, so it has to be updated twice per year. There will also be, when we get ready for the final approval, I will have an assumption document put together that pretty much is talking about where we're coming up with the numbers. Okay. So, things that the forecast is not. This is not a treasurer's report. This is considered a board's report. So that is something to keep in mind. I am working to put that together for you guys based on assumptions. This is only a planning document for our general funds. This does not include our permanent improvements. It does not include the food service. It doesn't include student activities, athletics, our ESSER funds, although our ESSER funds did have an impact on our forecast. Those are not showing up in here, but it may have moved funds out of here. So another thing is as Ms. Bodie had mentioned, this is a very flexible document. When we go over this in November, we'll go over this again in May. When we go over this the following November, what we're going to be talking about is what changed with our assumptions. If nothing changed, then we'll just resubmit the document as is. But anything that changed, that's what we'll be reviewing so that we can keep calibrating. So now the timeline. The timeline that we've put together just to kind of let everybody know how we're working on the 5-year forecast. We'll put together the draft. Once we've got the first draft together, then we're working with the executive team on what we're seeing, what we're looking at, where some of the trends are coming in, and so that we can talk through that. From there, we go to the Finance Committee for a review that we did last Wednesday and took a very in-depth look through the model. We put the model up and worked through that. From there, we are at, I put the asterisk by where we're at today, which is the draft review for you guys. From there, we will have revisions. If there are any revisions, we'll also keep an eye on close to the May 1st is when we're projecting to have this up for approval. We'll also have a little bit more data. So if there is any tweaks necessary, we'll go from there when we have more real data. And from there, we'll go back through the executive team again just to say, hey, here's what we're kind of looking at, where we're at, to then bring it back to the board for a final approval. Oh, no. So changes from November. The biggest change that we actually found from November is in November we had news that there was the tax dispute had not went in favor of the Butler County Auditor at the time, Roger Reynolds, that was looking at a 6.5% increase into the Westchester property values. That actually came in at 5.1 instead of 6.5. So at that time, we had forecasted a $104 million increase to the valuations. That was based on data that we found off of their ACFA report at Westchester. It ended up coming in at 71. So that was a difference in about $33 million of taxable valuation. So due to that, that decreased our revenue by approximately $1 million this fiscal year. Another place was we had a found error in the RID calculation that we have, because we have TIFs and RIDs that pay to the district. It was calculated off of the Class 2 instead of the Class 1 valuations. That ended up having an impact of almost $600,000 that we'll have in this first half settlement, sorry. So overall, our revenues did decrease by about $1.5 million over the November forecast. However, those were the places and the assumptions. We did see a bit of an increase on the base state aid, and that was due to a decrease in our special ed numbers, but nothing very material there. And then on the expense side, we've had some staffing shifts where some positions haven't been refilled. And due to that, our staffing has actually come in slightly lower than anticipated. Another big piece is on our supplies, our fuel. When we were looking at November, we were looking at $5 a gallon for diesel fuel, and now we're much lower than that. So we're seeing about $300,000 less in what we had forecasted back in November. So overall, the net impact from the November submission in fiscal 23 to the draft that you guys have in front of you now is about $400,000. So $400,000 less this year. Make sure I didn't miss any of my points. Okay. So another thing for the fiscal years 24 forward that has a positive impact is the recent news that we just received on the update, as Ms. Bodie had mentioned. That update, I did talk to the county today. It looks like it is going to come in relatively higher. They're supposed to get me the information once they know something. Once we have more firm numbers, let's put it that way. So the forecast, as you see right now, is showing that update with a 20% increase in our Class 1 values and a 9% in our Class 2s. We did have that at 6 and 2 in November. So that is a substantial increase. Okay. So another thing that we're wanting to key in on is, what are we assuming? Staffing being our largest piece to our 5-year forecast. This is the administrative guideline that reviews where we have our staffing numbers. These are homeroom class sizes: kindergarten 22 to 1 to 25 to 1, first to second grade 23 to 1, 26, third to fourth 24 to 27, fifth and sixth 25 to 28. Now, on top of that, we have some other numbers that I worked on with the curriculum department today, as well as special services. We have ESL reading specialists in Title I. Those are calibrated at a 40-to-1, and then once they hit every additional 20, they would add an additional 0.5 FTE. So these are the ways we're coming up with these numbers. On the special ed side, we have K-8 classrooms at 16-to-1, as well as 9-to-12 at 24-to-1. If we have the specialty classrooms for the social communicative classroom, 6-to-1, multidisability at 8-to-1, and our emotionally disturbed at 12-to-1. So these are kind of the ratios that are used to pull the staffing together so that we're constantly calibrating those numbers.
And some of those special ed numbers are driven by state law, not Lakota law.
That is correct.
Do those classrooms have aides in them as well as?
Some of them.
Some of them do, yes, that's correct.
And that counts in the ratios, right?
The aides, I don't believe the aides
No,
do
they
count toward the
It's
student.
just
This is
teacher?
student
This is
teacher.
teacher.
That
Okay.
is correct.
Teacher-student.
Teacher
Yep.
ratio.
Okay.
So we wanted to point out the homeroom sizes because I know since my first year in this position, I've heard a lot of feedback on that, and it is based on the homeroom, and then the building principals can calibrate some of the specialty classes. So that's something worth noting.
And we talked about, yeah, that may vary by specific classroom, but
Correct.
that would be a building level or grade level situation. But we talked about as an example in our meeting, that there may be, I was saying, from my own personal experience, my child was in a gifted math or a advanced math class that was a little higher because that teacher had agreed to have higher numbers because she felt it was more important for those who might need some extra attention in math to have the smaller class size. So it may vary in a particular building. So there might be some anomalies in that building based on decisions that the staff within that building is making.
Correct. I use the example of you have 100 students, you have 4 teachers. Let's say 60 of those students are in accelerated math. And so do you do 3 sections of 20 or 2 sections of 30? So if you do 3 sections of 20, then that means the college prep math is going to have 40 kids in the classroom. And so the math doesn't always work out evenly for us, but we look at the homeroom class sizes, but then when you get in, as Adam said, some of those specialty classes, that's where the ranges don't apply.
I do have a concern. I know we mentioned that in the committee meeting, and I do have a concern with the gifted classes being understaffed to make room for the classes with the learning needs. So are we positive that we're not affecting the honors classes negatively with not providing enough help in the classroom? Have we ever looked into that? Because I've received some feedback from the community that our honors programs are not as productive as they could be. And when Mason had, they had 6, I believe, students move on to honors, an award, I can't remember exactly what that was.
National Merit
National Merit Scholarship, yes, thank you. But Lakota, a bigger school, does not even match Mason's students that are receiving this award. So can you speak to, is that part of a problem? Is that a problem for Lakota, not staffing the honors classes enough so that they can be successful themselves?
I had not heard that, but I mean, we can look into that. You know, as you see on the board there, what we try and do is we try and find the appropriate ranges based on our contractual agreement and then also trying to be fiscally responsible. I think we'd all love to have way smaller class sizes, but then you run into a problem of what happens to your forecast then and how much money is spent on salaries and benefits. And typically what we do in education is your higher classes, they don't need as much support. A lot of those kids can support themselves. It's your lower end classes where we try and keep them a little smaller, help those struggling students. But it's something that we can definitely keep an eye on and keep looking at. And we always want our students to perform better.
Absolutely. I just don't want to overlook our honors because we're so focused on the underperforming that we're not giving the honors classes what they need as well to be successful.
And different districts focus differently on some of that testing. It's my understanding that from folks who've taught over there that that's something that they start drilling those kids early on. Again, that's a preference of whether focusing significant amount of time on test prep is a productive use of time, or if you'd rather your child be focused on different curriculum other than just testing. So again, my daughter was a National Merit Scholar. It got her a big fat 0. So like, I think some of those things, while nice and nice to be recognized, are more prestige for the district than actually valuable to the individual student. So again, I think I certainly don't want the pendulum to swing too far where we're all focused on test prep versus the overall benefits to our students of becoming productive workers and citizens in the future.
And with that, I think if we want to attract more people, then we need to do maybe what they're doing over in Mason to get more national merit scholarships for our students, because like you said, that attracts people to the school. So again, we just need to make sure that we are providing them with what they need to be successful as well.
It's all a balance.
Yeah. Mr. Vogelman, I don't want to like put you on the spot, but is it possible to give us statistics on the students? Let's see where in each classes, the statistics we have or the data we have on.
Are you talking about a review of class sizes across the district?
No. Students that are in advance.
That are
A
what?
report on, maybe an administrative report on how many students we have in advanced classes and that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But this is kind of Adam's presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let me take this back.
This is a financial presentation.
Let's go back to Adam's 5-year forecast if we could.
I don't mind.
But Rob, that could be a follow-up. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Zink.
So, and the nature of the draft, basically, we're at the point now where is there things that the board would like for us to look into changing or shifting, or everything look the way everybody would like? I mean, this is kind of your opportunity to give us a little bit of feedback and let us know, and we can.
Well, it
work
doesn't
through
have to be at this moment, since they're just getting the information, but certainly between now and our next meeting in May, which is when, our first meeting is when we'll look at doing the 5-year forecast approval. Ask Mr. Zink any questions you might have on this, any concerns that you'd like the board to consider, and get him that information ahead of time if you would, to give him an opportunity to do his homework.
Yep, and something else worth noting, I talked through with the Finance Committee, is we did have the first draft of House Bill 33 showed the impact to Lakota. It did show a bit of an increase due to the components of the House Bill 110 Fair School Funding Plan. Looked like a slight increase also. They're projecting possibly some revenue for SROs. So we are not currently forecasting that in, because we know there's many drafts that'll happen between here and the finish line at the end of June. So that is something to note, that it did look like on the first blush of it, potentially good news for us, which is a good thing.
Given past experience, though, we won't get any hopes up
We will not.
Exactly.
until the day of.
So I guess some other things from our meeting, I think that was very beneficial when Adam spoke about that SRO funding. Transportation was another piece. The sports gaming was going to potentially have funding to athletics. But again, I think we all decided that was a wise decision to hold off on including any of that. Another piece was reallocating some resources, because we did have increased demand for reading specialists and ESL support, given our demographics, so that we're able to, some folks that are retiring, we're going to change some positions so that we can provide supports in those areas, but recognizing where our needs were. And then I think it's also, as I was reviewing for that meeting, I thought it was interesting to note, I pulled up a 2019 5-year forecast. So when it looked at what we were going to do in 2022 versus what your current forecast is, and we're up $4 million in revenue versus what we anticipated at that point in time, which again, that's so far out, you often don't know. And then our expenses are $3.5 million less than what we had forecast at that time. So I think that speaks to the continued interest and attempt to be fiscally responsible in everything we do and reallocate resources, and making a conservative 5-year forecast so that we're on point with our finances and fiscally responsible.
Yep. That is correct, yeah. We're always trying to come up with, this year's been tricky. This year's been, I never would have guessed this year would be so tricky with the local tax changes that we've ran into and some of the other issues that we've had, and then new news happening. And some's been good, some's been bad. It's offset in a good way for the district. But there's been a lot of recalibration this year, more than I've seen since being at Lakota. So,
I'm proudest of the keeping the expenses where they need to be, so thank you for that.
any other questions?
Any other comments or questions?
Well, we did, sorry, go ahead, Kelly.
You sure? I just think thank you, of course, as always, but I also think it speaks to, between what Julie said, the 2019 now, that the 5-year forecast, you can't reiterate enough that it's a working document and a snapshot in time that is constantly changing and evolving. God love you.
Yeah, I thought maybe we could look at like the margin of error. Like when you get to that 5th year, and then we could look and say, okay, now in this year, let's go ahead and factor in that 15% error, because that's normally where it does seem to come in, but it would be the most absurd thing to ever forecast.
And the unpredictability of things like
That's correct.
Yeah.
pandemics or whatever else it could be thrown into the mix, so.
Yeah, whenever you think of 19, I always think of the pre-pandemic.
By the way, thank you, Adam, for your weekly updates that keep us informed. And when you bring this kind of focus, at least where it's not new to us, but it's something that we've been seeing every week. So appreciate you for that.
That's something that I just want to make sure everybody knows. I mean, it came back looking a little bit worse in fiscal 23, but it looks a little bit better now in fiscals 24, 25, 26, and 27.
Yeah.
So although we had a little bit of a blip this year, we've pushed the deficit out a little bit at this time, so that's always great news.
I had one more comment.
All right.
So you guys discussed that we brought on 3 MTSS teachers, and so this is more kind of for Rob. And so these were funded originally by the ESSER dollars, but now we are allocating for 3 more positions under the MTSS umbrella. Whose idea was it to continue to keep the MTSS, and what data do we have to support that it was a need for Lakota? And I would like some more information
Yeah,
on that.
we had 5 that were paid through ESSER funds, and then the goal is to slowly fade those out. And what they do is they work with our buildings to help meet our student needs. A big part is implementing that data piece that I talked about using student data to see what kids need and apply data to it. And we felt like we needed to keep a couple of those people on for 1 more year before we eliminated all those positions.
And this data that you collect, is this sold to anyone? Is this safe data, or do we pass this on to third parties?
I don't believe it's passed on to third parties. It's our data that we collect through classroom use.
And who sees this data?
Teachers and administrators, and then our MTSS supervisors who help work with each building.
Help
What they do is-
calibrate
Yeah.
student needs.
Yeah, they do. They are not just one place. One is dedicated kind of oversight, one is dedicated to our elementaries, one is dedicated to our secondaries. They do a lot of work with the building BLTs, the building leadership teams, when they take a look at student data, talk about how to interpret the data, how to apply the data, and then how to use the data to drive and direct their instruction for what kids need.
What are some of the questions of the data what are some of the questions that you get data from? And does this include the panorama surveys?
I don't know if that includes panorama survey. I can't speak to that. I just know from when I've sat in some of those building leadership team meetings doing evaluations of principals, that a lot of talk about is like the restart readiness work or the map data that they get to see where kids are supposed to be and where they're projected. They talk about, okay, well, let's take a look, let's dive into what that data is telling us, and then how can we in turn apply that to the areas that students need, whether it's a reading deficit, whether it's a specific math target that they're not hitting, and how to then change the next couple of weeks of instruction and focus before they retest again to try and see if we can improve that student achievement.
My question is, can the teachers not already see where their students are? Do we have to go to data collection to analyze our students and see what's best for them. Are we listening to the parents and their concerns, or are we just treating them as data input and going
No,
from there?
MTSS stands for the multi-tiers, and so it's not just day-to-day data. I'm using that as an example. It's also knowing that there's mental health things and taking into account when parents share things with us that kids are struggling, and how can we help kids? Maybe it's some social things that they struggle with, and making sure that they're sitting in the right area in the classroom, and that's where we share this information. That's what conferences should be happening, should be inviting parents in to meet and talk about this data, not just looking at the number and seeing what the child needs.
So you're
And-
saying the MTSS also funds the social and emotional learning statistics?
Does not fund.
There's no
the-
funds involved.
Sorry, this funds the data that we get from asking our students about their mental health.
MTSS is
Has been around for a
academic
while.
Yeah.
We've had MTSS this is not the
Yeah,
first
to
time we've
help
had it.
inform instruction.
It's
Yeah,
one
we've had
of
it for
the
a long
many
time.
tiers that we use to kind of get a picture of the whole child and help the whole child.
The whole child.
Yes,
Okay,
because that's important.
thank you.
Anything else?
So the good news is we made it through a forecast presentation and only one slide had numbers on it. So
All right.
that was one of my goals. So how about that?
Way to go, Adam.
All right, we'll move to number 6, the treasurer's recommendations, action items. I'll take a motion to approve the minutes for March 27th meeting and for the April 3rd meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Mrs. Bodie. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Schaefer. Mr. Zink?
Ms. Bodie,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. D,
Yes.
Ms. Casper,
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor.
Yes. We'll move to B, approval of monthly finance reports. I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved?
Thank you, Mrs. Schaefer. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you, Mrs. Casper. Is there discussion?
Yes.
Mrs. Bodie?
I am not going to approve I'm not going to approve this because all of the expenses from the district, I do not approve of everything that we are paying for.
I have a question.
Did you have anything further?
I have a
Nope,
question.
that's it.
I have a question.
Mr. Adi,
Yes.
discussion?
Yes. Ms. Bodie, you are a member of the Finance Committee, and I am looking from outside in. If you have a concern regarding approving monthly financial report, I'll be wondering what you're doing, because I expected that if there's anything during your committee meeting that you guys had recently, at least you just get a report. If there was a question, at least you are the right person to have come to give us that concern. But I'm wondering, what is it that you do not agree with? Because you're a member of the Finance Committee.
I'm not going to have a conversation that you're not ready to have, so we're going to call to vote.
No, I just want to know, because you're a member of the committee, so you come to feed us with information, and I could see from the report that you gave a
Madam
good
President,
report.
call to vote.
No, do I have the floor?
The vote has been called.
Okay.
But you did not have the floor, so I'm sorry, you can't continue. You were in the middle of saying something.
No, I'm done.
Finish what you were saying.
No, I'm okay now. Yeah.
Would you like the floor now to call the vote?
I'm sorry,
You have the floor. Now you can call the vote.
call to vote.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Zink?
Ms. Schaefer,
Yes.
Ms. Casper,
Yes.
Mr. D,
Yes.
Ms. Bodie,
No.
Ms. O'Connor.
Yes. Board will move to number 7, the superintendent recommendations, action items. I will take a motion to approve A, approval of personnel items, C, field trips approval, D, approval of contracts.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Casper. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Adi. What do we need to know about this, Mr. Vogelman?
Not too much personnel items on there. Mentioned to you in an email last week that going to go ahead and name Lori Brown, remove the interim tag from her as Executive Director of Curriculum and Instruction. And also we have a principal to replace Mary Brophy at Hopewell ECS, and that Rebecca Franco will be taking over there, longtime assistant at Wyandotte. So we're excited about those two things. Field trips, standard operations with those, approval of contracts. Appreciate our technology team looking at extending the contract out. Could have done a 1 year, but then by doing 3 years and getting your board approval, it saves the district some money by doing a 3-year agreement instead of a 1 year. So always looking to ensure that we're being fiscally responsible by doing 3-year contracts if it saves us money.
Very well. I will say I don't think Mrs. Brophy is necessarily replaceable.
I agree.
Just wanted to say that.
I apologize. for my
And
use of
also, I
words.
think Mrs. Brown will do an excellent job as the Executive Director for Curriculum. So look forward to her stepping into that role. Any other comments or discussion? Hearing none, call the vote, please.
Ms. Casper.
Yes.
Mr. Adi.
Yes.
Ms. Bodie.
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer.
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor.
Yes. Board, I'll take a motion to approve B, approve a resolution authorizing 2023-2024 membership in the Ohio High School Athletic Association, and E, approval of resolution declaring transportation impractical for the 2022-2023 school year. Do I have a motion?
So moved?
Thank you, Mrs. Schaefer. Do I have a second?
Second. Oh, go ahead, Isaac.
I'll take Mr. Adi. Is there discussion?
Yes.
Mrs. Bodie?
I will not vote to approve a contract with an organization that does not care about our biological female athletes and allows biological males to compete as females, and an organization that has become another arm for activism in our schools.
Discussion beyond that?
No.
Mr. Vogelman, if I'm recalling correctly, we have approximately $2 million in scholarships that go to our athletes every year.
A good amount. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but.
They're $1,000 scholarships.
Not all of them.
Look it up.
And the only
look
way
it
that
up.
those students,
Maybe you should look
let's
it up.
stop extra
The
discussion. please.
OHSAA gives $1,000
You are not
scholarships.
recognized. Mr. Vogelman?
Yeah, big thing to remember is OHSA kind of sets the standard for teams to compete with one another. And so by being a part of OHSAA, we're agreeing to some minimum expectations as it deals with student eligibility, as it deals with coaches, and as it deals with fair play. As a parent of a student who participates in sport, I would never want to play against a team that is not part of OHSAA, because then there is no eligibility background checks that would be consistent. You don't know where those coaches are coming from if they're not abiding to a common standard set by the OHSAA, and then we would never be able to compete in state tournaments.
And the consequences to our students?
Well, if you look at the one school that turned out to be a fake school up in Columbus, I think it was called Bishop Sycamore, they had to go to Florida and Tennessee to play because there's no teams that would play them because they were not an OHSAA member school. And so we could have a team, but whether other teams in the league would want to play us or not would be questionable.
This organization is anti-female. I will not be a part of
Mrs. Bodie,
it.
you
It's
haven't
not
been
your turn to
recognized.
talk.
Would you like to be
I would
recognized?
like to be recognized.
I think I just said what I wanted to say.
Mrs. Casper?
While OHSSA may give out $1,000 scholarships, if we don't participate, our students aren't going to be able to play teams and be recognized by top schools or Division II, Division III, or any school, because there will be no way for coaches to see them play. So while OHSSA scholarships might be $1,000, we have kids that are getting full rides to Ohio State, Notre Dame, all of those colleges. They would not be able to get those if we did not participate in OHSSA.
They do not need the
You're not
OHSAA for a
recognized,
scholarship
Mr.
to be
Adi.
offered.
Go ahead.
But there will be, I think I was talking right. Sometimes I'm
Take a
not.
breath. I'm sorry, you took a breath. Go ahead.
Apparently I'm going to have to learn a little talk without taking a breath then. There will be no opportunity for anyone to see them play because we will not be playing anybody. Nobody will play us. So they're not just going to blindly give a scholarship, a 4-year scholarship to someone that says, I used to be really good, so pick me. That's the point I'm trying to make. I'm
Miss.
finished now.
Mr. Adi, You will be recognized.
Yeah, the question I have is, I need somebody to help me on this. Is there any legislation right now on this in the House, either House or Senate in the state?
You mean
Regarding?
OH?
Yes, on OHS. If there's any legislation right now on
Are you
that.
talking about Fairness in Sports Act?
Yes.
Okay, yes, the Fairness in Sports Act is still in the House right now.
In the House, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and OHS says whatever the law is passed, they will follow those laws. They will not go against state law.
But that has not been, that's not yet concluded.
Correct.
Okay.
Is there an alternative
Yes.
organization?
Not that I'm aware of.
So which means that if our students are not able to participate, there's no alternative anywhere else right now.
Correct. Well, and you would have to hope that other schools would want to play you. But like I said, if there's not a consistent baseline of expectation, the other high school could bring in a couple of 25, 26-year-old guys to play a game because there's no eligibility rules. They may not even live in the state. They may not even live in the district. They just bring them in to play games.
So by this now, it means that our students stand the risk of opportunities that are out there. Which is not
And it
gonna be
makes a level playing field for every team they play in the state of Ohio, that they're all abiding by the same basic minimum expectations of running an athletic organization.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Zink, please call the roll.
Ms. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Adi?
Yes.
Ms. Bodie?
No.
Ms. Casper?
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor?
Yes. We'll move to new business. 8A, board member motion for Title IX. Do I have a motion to put this on the floor?
Madam
Skip
President,
7E.
we have not voted on 7E yet.
We actually just did. She called the roll for 7B and E.
That was 7B.
She said B and E.
So, if I might,
Oh, sure.
I did call for a motion to approve, and I did receive a second, B and E. And so we did vote on that.
All right, well, my vote's still no, but I'm not comfortable.
Mrs. Bodie, the vote's already been taken, so discussion
Well, I
is
would just like
finished.
to say something. I'm not comfortable.
Mrs. Bodie,
I would
you're out
like
of
to have
order.
a comment, please.
You're out of order.
I'm
We're
not
moving on to
comfortable
the next
voting to
item on
stop
our agenda.
providing transportation to the school.
Mrs.
I
Bodie,
think
you are
we should be
again
able to
out
make
of
it
order.
work for our students.
Mrs. Bodie, you're again out of order. We'll move to 8, new business. A, board member motion for Title IX. Do I have a motion to put this on the floor?
Motion to put the Title IX on the floor.
Do I have a second?
You're not even going to have a
Madam-
discussion.
Can I?
I'm sorry, we need a second before we have any further discussion. Go ahead. Are you second?
No, I wanted like to amend what the motion is, and I didn't know when the proper time to do
Go
that
ahead.
was. I would like to make amendment to this motion that it be sent to the policy committee, because after 15 months on the board, Mrs. Bodie's still unsure of how this works, and
So-
it is a 5-person
Motion.
board, so
Motion
that's
without
my
discussion.
motion.
So the motion is to amend the motion and to send it to the policy committee, is that correct?
Correct.
Is there a second to Mrs. Casper's motion?
So moved?
Thank you, Mrs.
Seconded,
Schaefer.
sorry.
We will vote on whether or not we're going to accept a change, and then we will vote on the change itself.
Can I read my motion?
No, Mrs. Bodie, this is not the appropriate time. So
We're
we're going to...
discussing, talking about it. I'm not allowed to read the motion to vote.
Mrs. Bodie, we are going to follow, as you've said many times, Robert's Rules of Order.
You're
And so
not
that's what we're
following the
doing.
Robert's Rules of Order. You're not allowing me to have the floor and put the motion on the floor.
Mrs. Bodie, you're out of order. So the motion on the floor is an amendment. We are going to vote to accept the change, then we'll vote on the change itself. So we're voting to amend the motion. Is there discussion on that?
There's no amendment needed,
The
and this is not a
discussion-
correct amendment.
The discussion, are we allowed, this is where we
Discussion, right? We-
Robert's Rules of Order is my favorite.
Mine too.
Madam President, do we discuss the amendment before we vote, or since there's Somebody seconded the amendment, right?
Yes, we
So
have a
are we
motion
gonna
on the floor with a second.
So we're going to discuss it before we vote, or?
We're going to vote to accept a change,
Oh, okay.
correct?
Okay.
Mr.
Or you
Zane?
can discuss that right now
Oh,
if you
okay,
choose.
gotcha. Yeah.
Can we choose to go ahead and accept, or discuss both, the change,
You
accepting a
would-
change and the change itself?
Right now, you
So
would be
incorrect.
discussing the change.
Okay. All right, so the floor is open for discussion on changing this to Mrs. Casper's motion.
So
This,
Yes,
can I-
you're recognized.
my point is that it needs to go through the policy committee, because no matter how you feel about the motion itself, it's a 5-person governing board, not a 1-person deciding that they want this motion. So in my opinion, it's a process that we've used, and if we don't stick to the processes, then nothing is ever going to work. We need to make sure that it goes through the policy committee, because that's what you're asking for, is a policy. And it has nothing to do with agree or disagree about the motion, because quite honestly, there's nothing in this motion I would agree to. It has more holes than Swiss cheese, but it still has to be done the proper way. It can't be one person bringing a motion and expecting us to vote on a policy when it hasn't gone through the proper procedure.
okay, so your amendment.
You are not recognized, Mrs. Bodie. Please
Madam
be
President.
recognized first.
May I please have the floor, Madam President?
You may have the floor
Thank
to
you.
discuss whether or not we're going to send this to policy is the
Oh,
question.
thanks for repeating the motion, I appreciate that. So the motion that you made is not a valid motion to amend. You're not amending this, you're just making a motion. So number one, process and procedure, you did it incorrectly. Number two, we don't need an amendment to pass, to have a discussion on this motion. I'm tired of you guys not having conversation about an amendment, about a motion, even though you disagree, that's fine, but people want to know what you really think, and they would like to hear a discussion, and you guys continue to refuse to have a discussion.
And I will,
Let's let everybody else speak first. Mrs. Schaefer, anything on the amendment?
we're not disagreeing to discuss it.
Again, we are wanting to discuss this in the proper format. When a board member or staff member requests a policy or a policy change, the appropriate time to discuss that first is in a policy meeting, and then it is brought forward into a board meeting. While I appreciate that there may be an interest to circumvent that process and get people's 2 minutes of fame, I prefer to follow our processes and procedures, because I feel if the board does not follow our own processes and procedures, we can have no expectation that our staff and students do the same.
Madam President?
Mr. Adi?
Yes, okay. I'm very interested in the amendment because Title 9, to my understanding, still have a lot going on either in the Supreme Court or it's not yet clear how it's going to end. So I will recommend that we go through the process. The policy committee goes through this, and I would have loved maybe to put a deadline on it, but maybe 90 days, possibly, so that we come back with recommendations after all the necessary discussions are made, so that we come up with a concrete policy that we know can be governable. Because passing a resolution is not a document that you can work with. So I support your amendment, and I prefer that it goes through the process.
And I would say that in any case, when we're looking at new policies, there is a process that we need to follow. And in part, that's so that we're able to do all those steps that go into that, whether that's considering law or case law, which is the interpretation of law, or we're looking at what's available to us in terms of sample policies or any of those kind of issues that we always consider when we're looking at policies. And this needs to go through the same process that any other situation would go through. And I think it's important for our community to be able to have confidence in the decisions that we make, that we follow our processes consistently. Is there any further discussion?
Yes.
Mrs. Bodie.
Part of the process to make a decision is bringing it forth in a motion and having the board second it and having conversation, which you continuously refuse to do. So I am going through the processes. This is the proper process. This is, however, not the one that you like or you prefer, so you vote no, but I vote yes.
When we take the vote, you are welcome to say that. Mrs.
It's not that we're not willing to discuss it, we are just going to discuss it in policy where it belongs. It belongs in policy. The discussion should be in the policy committee. You can't just make a motion.
Yes, you can.
To have a policy and then everybody vote on, because our own policies and procedures say, in a policy meeting, 2 reads, a vote. It doesn't say bring it up at a meeting and 3 days prior to it, lambaste and get social media, the lambasting of that to get the public opinion. It's not the way that our policy is structured on how you get a new policy.
You can approve the policy
Madam
and then go make
President.
a
Mrs. Bodie?
policy.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can.
Excuse me.
You can approve the fact that you
Miss-
want this to be policy and then make a policy.
Mrs. Bodie, you're out of order. Mr. Adi?
Okay. Yeah, I am very, very interested in this policy. And this is big. There's a lot of work that we need to do to get it right. And that is why I also support that it goes through the policy. And also with my little knowledge, within this short period on the board, I know there's a lot more when policies are written. The processes go through how to make sure that we are also covered with our insurance in case of anything. These are processes that have to go through. So we can't sit here. I love to do more work on this before we come up with a document that we know we're protected. So this is big, and I want us to work on it. I'm even looking at probably 90 days or something like that to come back with whatever recommendation we're going to have. But make sure we touch every case law, make sure we get all our dots either crossed or dotted to make sure we're on the right track.
Any further discussion?
I find it fascinating that there's a suggestion that we should pass a policy to pass a policy to have a policy without knowing what we would be voting on. It seems to me that that's very contradictory to someone who continually brings up that they don't have enough information to make an informed decision and vote.
I'm sorry,
So
you're not smart enough to get it.
Mrs. Bodie, you're out of order.
And rude.
I get it. I get it. So,
Mrs. Bodie and audience, please.
Call
Mrs.
to- call
Schaefer,
to
you still have the floor.
Again, I think this speaks for itself as to why we need to go through the appropriate channels and follow our own protocols to continue to move forward effectively and not allow ourselves to continually be derailed by, what's the term that's often popularly used here, political ruses, which is what
so
I
our
believe
daughters
this to
aren't
be.
important to you?
Mrs. Bodie, you're out of order.
I actually have daughters who've attended Lakota schools, and this is not a concern that I have, so.
So
my
you only
daughters
will,
are
when it
very
affects
Mrs.
you is when
Schaefer
you will
has the
stand up for
floor.
our daughters. When it
Mrs.
affects
Bodie.
you is when you're going to stand up for our daughters, but not when it affects other parents.
Mrs. Bodie.
You specifically spoke to our daughters, and I am responding to your question. Excuse me for trying to answer your question. I know it's not something you're popular with doing, of actually answering the question that was given, but I will try to answer that question.
I'm going to say
which
that I think we should move on and go
I
ahead
think that
and...
that is probably wise.
All right, let's do that. We are going to vote on the amendment, which was an amendment to move this to policy for discussion there and for work in the policy committee. I have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Casper,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. D,
Yes.
Ms. Bodie,
It wasn't called, this is not a proper amendment policy. I'm not even voting. This is ridiculous. It wasn't done correctly. I'm not voting.
abstain.
No, I'm going to say no. It wasn't done correctly.
Ms. O'Connor.
Yes. Thank you, Board. We're moving to closing comments, and then we will...
We still have a second on the floor. We still have a motion on the floor, and you haven't allowed me to read my motion.
Mrs. Bodie, We have amended the motion, and so there is not going to be a vote on the first original motion.
You did it
That is
incorrectly.
Robert's
That was not
rules.
proper procedure. No, it was not.
Mr. Zink, did we follow the proper procedure?
We voted to amend the motion, so now we would vote on the amended motion.
Okay. We'll vote on the amended motion. Call the roll, please.
We need a second. We just had a first motion. Ms.
Do we-
Bodie moved.
Sorry, Ms. Bodie moved. Is there a second to Ms. Bodie's motion? The original motion.
Now it's amended.
So you're not even going to discuss this.
So we're voting on the amended, not, Mrs. Bodie had a first, and now we're voting on the amended
Now we need a
motion.
second.
So the amended motion, if we vote yes, would
To
be
go to
on,
policy.
to have it go to
To
policy.
move it to policy.
Okay, so I will second that
So
motion.
you're refusing to discuss
Thank you.
this. I
She
get
just
it.
did a second.
Mr. Zink, would you clarify the motion for everyone?
The amended motion is to take the policy that was put forward to the board to the policy committee.
Right, and they voted yes, I voted no, correct?
No, that is not.
You
you're not
voted no
correct.
to change the motion.
Got you, okay.
Now we're voting on the amended motion.
Is there discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Ms. Bodie?
No.
Ms. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. D?
Yes.
Ms. Casper?
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor?
Yes. We'll move to closing comments, board. Ms. Bodie, we'll start with you.
Actually, can you circle back around to me, please?
You may pass if you'd like to.
No,
but
I would like
we're
for you to
starting with
circle
you.
around to me, please.
She just, you can't. Oh my God.
Audience, please.
I just think that this is ridiculous, that you guys are, that you are not willing to have a discussion and are playing these games that are affecting our daughters and putting thousands of students in danger in the bathroom and potentially playing sports. When the board says that they care about every single student, that means our daughters who are going to the bathroom in uncomfortable situations. There's thousands of daughters that you are not, or thousands of females in our school that you are not standing up for. And this has to stop. This ends now. We need a new board right now.
Audience,
Call the next question.
audience.
Ms. Schaefer?
Mrs. Schaefer.
I look forward to having a thorough conversation on this topic within our policy committee. We clearly have different perspectives on this particular issue, and things that have presented as facts, I would question how factual they are. I would also say if we're truly worried about kids in our bathroom, a topic that I've been interested in for a while is having vape detectors in our bathroom. I think if we're looking at truly what's going to impact our students' health and well-being, it would be the incidents where we have vaping happening. I think there's probably incidents of illicit drug use at different times that tries to be policed and looked at. So if we're truly looking at what's going to have a long-term detrimental impact to our students versus whoever's in the private next stall to them, I would be more concerned about things that are directly affecting their health. On to other things. Thank you so much to everyone who did such a nice job on Light Up Lakota. It's nice to see us focusing on our academics and the great things that are happening with our students and that impact all of our kids on a daily basis. Also, since my daughters have been brought into the conversation tonight, they both have recently, one in her professional job, one as a college student, have been volunteering working with students and have expressed a whole new level of appreciation for what teachers do in the classroom every day. My daughter is in a kindergarten class every Friday as a chemical engineering major, and she says, "Mom, there's 10 of us and it's still chaos." She's like, we have a hard time. She's like, bubble wrapping kindergartners. She was doing something with friction. She's like, you can only imagine what happened. And she said, I don't blame them a bit. I would have been doing the same thing with that bubble wrap in kindergarten. So it's been fun to listen to them as they talk about just how sometimes you have to put yourself in a teacher's shoes shoes to fully appreciate what they're trying to accomplish every day, and to see that in their different roles has been interesting. So thank you to our staff for doing all that you're doing to enrich the education and not allowing yourself to be taken off track from the good work that I know is happening within Lakota.
Mrs. Casper.
I just want to clear up that moving this to the policy committee doesn't mean we don't want to have a conversation. That is what the policy committee is. It's having a conversation about things that are brought to the policy committee that affect our students. Just because it doesn't go your way doesn't mean you constantly want to threaten the rest of your fellow board members. That's not really a good look. But again, I look forward to also discussing this in the policy committee and getting all of the appropriate facts correct.
If it was your daughter right now crying,
You do not have the floor.
You don't have the floor, Mrs. Bodie. You don't have the floor. You can't just yell out because you want to. It's like a petulant 2-year-old.
But
I'm talking. I get a chance to talk. I do. You've had your chance. I get a chance.
if it was your daughter crying about
Mrs.
someone in the
Bodie.
bathroom, peeking underneath the
Please.
stall, you wouldn't wait for a policy
demonstrate
committee
some
to
respect.
change a policy.
Please demonstrate
You
some
are
respect
out
for
there
your fellow board members.
speaking
and let her
things that you
finish.
don't know nothing about, that you don't know the truth. You're listening to social media, you're listening to people. There are not thousands of people out there looking under stalls. And I promise you that if some behavior is in a bathroom, is happening, it is being dealt with appropriately. I'm sure Mr. Vogelman can reiterate that. It's not, we are not willy-nilly letting boys run into girls' bathrooms, and I don't know why you continue to think that. Is a 16-year-old boy going to fake to be transgender just to get into the girls' restroom? I would think not. Anyway, I look forward to discussing with all of the accurate information. On that note, reiterating to what Mrs. Schaefer said, Light Up Lakota was amazing. Thank you to Lauren and Betsy and their staffs for a great, great showcase of what actually is going on in Lakota. Mr. Zink, once again, a riveting financial presentation, so thank you very much.
Not sure I've heard that description before. Good for you, Mr. Adi.
Okay, I will say that I know what I want, but it's not about what Isaac wants. It's about what is obtainable out there. I'm interested in this going to policy committee, Title 9, and have all the necessary discussions and make sure that we're doing what is right, that we not jeopardize what we're doing, not putting the school district in the wrong footing. I want us to go through this and do it properly. That is what I'll say on that tonight. But my research and some of the questions I have asked, there's still a lot of debate going on. I'm not going to be very comfortable concluding on anything right here. I would rather want us to go through this, cross all our T's, dot our I's, and make sure we are covered. Then I'll make my decision on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adi. Mr. Zink?
I just wanted to make another comment about the public notice will be coming out. The policy committee will be on the 5th. So that is going to be coming out. Other than that, I don't think I have anything I'd like to add.
Mr. Vogelman?
Found out today that Lakota East is a recipient of the Purple Star Award again. So the Purple Star Award is given for...
Can you explain what
It's given from the state of Ohio based on the work that the students and the staff do in honoring veterans. It's a 3-year award, and so they were up again, and found out today that they were recipient again for another 3 years as being recognized as a Purple Star Award school. Once again, thanks, as mentioned, Light Up Lakota Success. Next Tuesday, right here on this stage, on April 25th, not tomorrow, but a week from Tuesday, is a military commitment ceremony to recognize our students that are graduating going into the military. I believe we have 4 West Point individuals.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
So proud to showcase those young men and women
That's amazing.
next Tuesday. End of year celebrations are coming fast and furious. I believe ABC Countdown starts tomorrow. So that means we got about 26 full
Right.
days of school left. So it's coming here fast and furious. And good luck to Adam Wednesday as he presents at OASBO on developing a 5-year forecast with your superintendent and your team. And we'll be there together to kind of do a little presentation. So looking forward to that. But 99.9% of that work goes to Adam being part of that. So appreciate his work and leadership as we have had some difficult conversations as the exec team looking through 5-year forecasts and making sure we're doing our part as far as taking care of the class size ranges we want to operate in, but then also make sure we're operating in a fiscal manner that we're just not giving everything to everybody whenever it comes out, of striving for that balance as best as we can. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Vogelman. There's been a lot this week, or weekend, I should say. I am concerned when board business is conducted on Facebook or on social media. That is grave concern for me. And I'd like to be sure that when there are parent complaints, that those are handled appropriately so that they're investigated and they're dealt with. Discipline is appropriately utilized. If it's a respect issue, if it's a privacy issue, that is huge. I am not okay if that's happening. So, Mr. Vogelman, I have confidence that you will follow up to make sure that any of those situations have been considered. And Mrs. Bodie, if those have been brought to your attention, I have confidence that you'll take it to Mr. Vogelman so that it can be addressed. Those are very, very big deals to all of us. So it needs to be addressed. I look forward to the discussion as well. I think that it's not an easy discussion in any way, shape, or form. It's impacting students one way or the other. And we need to be very cognizant of making sure that our process, when we're talking about impact of students, is thorough and it's respectful, and especially respectful to our students. And in that process, that we are not disenfranchising students, and that concerns me. So I look forward to the discussion, and I don't think it'll be one discussion. I anticipate probably more than that, depending on what the board determines it would like to do and if it needs further information or whatever it's going to be. I will say this, just in terms of processes, I like to read. I've always been a big reader. And I particularly enjoy geopolitical international thrillers. And today I was reading one page and this line popped out at me about, it's a well-known nation that we would all recognize if I said it. And this nation has some plans for things it would like to do. And the main character said, you know what, one of the key strategies to everything this nation is doing is chaos. And if we fall into chaos and we don't follow the processes that we put into place, we will not make good decisions, whether it's on this policy or motion or anything else. We have to have a process that we follow to make sure all the voices are heard, to make sure that we've considered our students first and foremost, and chaos is not the way to do business. It just isn't. With that being said, Board, I am looking for number 10, a motion to move into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Schaefer. Do I have a second?
I second the motion to enter into an executive session.
Thank you, Mrs. Bodie. Mr. Zink.
Ms. Schaefer,
Yes.
Ms. Bodie,
Yes.
Mr. D,
Yes.
Ms. Casper,
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor.
Yes. We will come back afterwards to adjourn. I don't anticipate any board business to occur after this. Thank you all for coming out. Yeah, we're coming back.